Volo again today with Jim at the Volo Museum. We're always uncovering like a new turn, I guess.
A new nook and a new cranny.
Yeah. So what are we doing today?
All right, so today, I don't think we've ever been here. This is our evolution of travel lodging. It's a bunch of vintage RVs and campers, and it basically shows you how it started and then how it progressed, and even from the 20s and 30s, how amazing it got. And that's a span of time, from the late 1800s to the early 1900s.
And when you think about what campers and RVs are like now, like mini mansions on wheels.
Yes, basically.
It's gone a long way.
A long way, but you'll be surprised.
Okay.
Let's take a look.
Let's go.
So these I heard about and did not get excited about until I saw them, because they're like, oh, they're covered wagons and trailers from the 1920s and early 30s.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it's gonna look anything like that stuff, like no big deal. These are incredible. And I never realized that the whole travel lodging thing didn't start as luxury, it started as a necessity. Henry Ford, who the more and more I learn about him is a freaking genius, had all these cars sitting, no one was buying cars, the Great Depression hits, they're losing houses. He doesn't know how to sell these cars because he's just sitting on all these cars. So he comes up with this contraption to convert your car into a house. Cool. And his pitch was, instead of you can't afford a mortgage and property taxes, but you can afford to put this on your car. Now, during the Great Depression, people are losing their houses, converting their cars into little houses, and they could drive around and look for work and live in these car RVs. So this is a pretty cool piece. This was the first prototype of an RV.
Oh.
Someone gutting a bus and making this. So this is one of the first kind of factory-produced prototypes that they made. They traveled in it a few times, and then the dad passed away, and this sat in the family's farm forever. And this is all of their stuff. Like the family parked the RV, and that's just where it stayed. So this is one of the first examples of an actual RV. This is 1949. This is travel lodging. This is the 1800s, 1889, 1885. But this shows you on the rails. This is just a caboose that was on a standard, train cars. But it shows you how people traveled and lived in these. There's bunk beds up here, kind of like on a tour bus. They had their stove, and this is where they stayed. And they would communicate with the front of the train. There was obviously no cell phones or anything, so they would light different lanterns to mean different things back here, so they could communicate with each other. So it's kind of a old school means, but this is how they lived. They would stay in this for long periods of time.
All right, so you're gonna just show off some things that when you're walking around and the Volo Museum, you're like, oh, what's that?
What's that? So we're famous for movie cars. We have over 50 Hollywood movie cars, and that's everything from the DeLorean and Ecto 1 to Fast and the Furious and Ford versus Ferrari. But we also have some unconventional movie vehicles as well. And this is the lifeboat from Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. This was the boat he was in throughout the entire movie. So this is a pretty cool piece. It's the actual one. This is an actual lifeboat. You can see up here, this is where the driver sits. There's a little window, but this is also a movie set. So there's fake blood splatter all over. There's bullet holes on the window, and it's kind of a cool piece.
All right, so this room is pretty cool.
Yeah, what I really love is that most museums have things behind the glass, and you can look but don't touch. And you can look at the stuff and it looks awesome. But what I really appreciate is that they invest a ton of money into keeping everything going. All the animatronics, the Moldoramas, the kiddie rides, all of this is functional, including these. These are the first generation of arcade games from the early 1950s. So you can play any of these games. You want to try playing a couple?
Yes, I do. It's like my dad's train set. Oh, I see. Okay, go back up, up. Forward. Cool. I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah?
Because this is like a memory that I had in my head, and then I didn't know I still had it until I watched the documentary on Netflix, Pepsi, Where's My Jet?
Yes.
And then
so you can first see it, and it seems a little plain, but this is actually a movie jet. This was not only from Pepsi, they used it afterwards. So Arnold Schwarzenegger came out with a movie called True Lies.
Oh, yes.
And this is a Harrier jump jet. So these were huge in the 80s because these were the first jets where they would go down and they could lift straight up, almost like a helicopter, and then take off. So this was like the iconic plane. It's like the Lamborghini of the 80s. So Arnold Schwarzenegger used this, and then they reused it in the Avengers. So there's a fight scene where Thor and the Hulk are fighting in a warehouse, and this plane's sitting here, and Thor throws Hulk into the plane, and there's actually footage of it. I have pictures on the other side of him sitting in the plane. So that's what it was originally used for. And then after that, Pepsi used it for the Pepsi Where's My Jet. There's a Netflix special that came out where they basically said, for 50 points, you can get sunglasses, 500 points, a leather jacket. For 7 million, you can get a Harrier jump jet.
It's done everything. Yeah. And now it's living here in Volo. All right, so something new, guided tours. This is huge because it's never happened here before.
Ever. We've been here 63 years.
Wow.
And it's like every museum on the planet does guided tours. And this, with all these stories behind the cars and how we acquired them and the stories behind them, it's amazing, and half of it's told. So we thought every Tuesday and Thursday we're starting out now. It's free with admission.
Awesome.
So you just come in here and sign up, or we'll give you a pass on 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock every Tuesday and Thursday. It's about a 3-hour guided tour.
Awesome. Well, everybody watching is probably pretty excited because every time we come here, you give us a tour.
Kind of
I can't even imagine what it's like to walk around and not know what's happening. So Tuesdays and Thursdays sounds like a good day to take a trip.
Absolutely.
So much to see at the Volo Museum. Coming up next on GDS's Game Day. And then we have dessert wine on Wine Wednesday. Don't go anywhere.